When Tom Hayes' curling strike hit the back of the net against the Philippines, the stadium in Jakarta roared in unison. 64,000 Indonesian fans just witnessed their nation take another step closer to the World Cup. The Indonesians have reached the World Cup only once before, more than 80 years ago, something which is hard to imagine when you see and hear the deafening passion of its football fans across the archipelago. In 1938, they competed not as Indonesia, but as the Dutch East Indies, the first Asian nation to enter the tournament, yet playing under the shadow of colonial rule, a shadow they only emerged from in the decades following this appearance. Through a bloody struggle at the hands of the Dutch, 100,000 Indonesians lost their lives, including innocent civilians. Causing pain so great, nearly 100 years later, the Netherlands are still apologizing for atrocities that are only coming to light in our time. Meanwhile, the Dutch connection lives on in their football squad. When Indonesia beat the Philippines in Jakarta, 5 of the 11 starters were born in the Netherlands. The goal scorer, Tom Hay, well, he was born in the Netherlands too. He has represented every single Dutch youth side before naturalizing to represent Indonesia in 2023, just 1 year before slotting away his classy finish. With voices on both sides pulling at the heartstrings of Indonesian football, what will be the cost of this new Indonesian football revolution? Indonesia, a nation of nearly 300 million people, cities teeming with life and industry, and more importantly, a completely football-mad population. On paper, this should be a hotbed of football. So why is there overwhelming foreign influence on their beloved national team? In 2011, Indonesian football fans woke up to some shocking news. Their domestic league had suddenly been split in two, as their football federation was in the midst of a suffocating coup. For 8 straight years, the football ship had been captained by a man named Nurdin Halid. A quick Google search about him will bring up more than just football, and his Wikipedia page reads more like a laundry list for a criminal organization than a football administrator. While he prepared himself for a 3rd straight term at the helm, he banned the top competitors from running against him in the election to head the FA, and solidified himself at the top, siphoning every last drop of commercialism from the nation's boundless footballing passion for himself and his allies. At the same time, he changed the wording of FIFA's statutes to allow for convicted criminals to serve at the head of the board. He did all of this behind bars, while serving a 2-year sentence for some of his crimes. The fallout was awe-inducing. A group emerged in a desperate attempt to escape Halid's corrupt grip, setting up their own federation for football in the country. A new league was also established, made up of 5 existing teams from the league that had been run into the ground. 14 new franchises had also appeared, and seemingly overnight, the Indonesian Premier League was born. All the while, fans marched the streets, pitchforks in hand, demanding answers and asking how can their beloved game come to this? It was only a matter of time for FIFA to come knocking. They couldn't continue to watch this momentous football landscape, with its incredible emerging potential, devolve into political infighting at the expense of the nation's football development. The new league lasted only 1 season, as FIFA scrambled to steady the ship and continue to build on the foundations that already existed. But the grassroots were ablaze, ruptured and broken, at the hands of the people charged with its nurturing. So where does Indonesian football go from here? More than a decade later, on a hot November afternoon in central Jakarta, Erick Thohir, the newly appointed chair of the Indonesian Football Federation, steps onto a pitch at Gelora Bung Karno's stadium. It's a stark contrast to years of grassroots neglect. Now, the man at the helm appears to be inspecting every blade of grass. You can find dozens of videos just like this one on his YouTube channel, where he gives Indonesian fans frequent updates on his ongoings and his ambitious plans for football in the country. And one of Thohir's boldest moves has been leveraging Indonesia's historic ties with Europe to recruit talented members of Indonesian diaspora for the national team. Today, the squad boasts more players born in the Netherlands than in Indonesia. He's even gone as far as to establish an official cooperation agreement with the Dutch Football Association. It allows Dutch coaches to bring their expertise to Indonesia, while giving Thorhier a golden window into the Dutch footballing system. A gold mine for scouting those players overlooked by Oranje, but who would give an immediate boost to the Indonesian national team. And it's been working. In 2024, the national side made it past the group stage of the Asia Cup for the first time in its history, with a team largely made up of naturalized talent, once again giving the nation's fans hope that their team is on the rise, proudly displaying the red and white to the world. But even with these positive inroads, Indonesians' decade-old football wounds will continue to surface in all sorts of ways. Since 1995, hooliganism has been the direct cause for the death of 74 fans. For fans in Indonesia, football is life and death. They live and breathe the game. This incredibly intense connection means you will often see the Indonesian football administrators in hot water as they navigate a footballing environment like no other. In 2015, the FA was suspended by FIFA for meddling in the domestic league. The ban ultimately resulted in the national team not being able to participate in the 2019 Asia Cup. Indonesian football is in a constant struggle to take part. Passionate fans live for the game, and they are tired of knocking at the door of the footballing elite. They want to kick it down. And this is where we are today, with Indonesia's incredible footballing potential tapping into their cultural links with the Dutch and beyond. Seemingly, the Indonesian FA isn't going to wait around for their youth infrastructure to catch up to the demands of the footballing mad across the nation. The country's footballing landscape is complicated, born from infighting, corruption, and politicized passion. Its new administration is doing its utmost to bring the nation to where they know it deserves to be. It makes sense for them to go after ready-made talents nurtured across the European fields, but with a deep-lying heritage with the Southeast Asian islands. Take the Reinders brothers. Tijani, an incredibly technical attacking midfielder, has taken Serie A by storm since signing with AC Milan, and features heavily for the Oranje. His younger brother, Aliano, chose a different path, representing Indonesia in their 2-2 draw with Bahrain. Two brothers, two national teams, and one shared story of Indonesian heritage. No nation can choose its past, but they can choose their future. The key for the Indonesian footballing story will be how they handle the next 10 years. That's where we will see the ultimate cost, the true prize for this footballing revolution. They must balance the naturalization of their heritage players with a long-term plan of youth development, nurture the grassroots, and take control over their domestic league. A league filled with some of the most passionate football fans in the world, but clearly still finding its feet as a sustainable and safe sporting environment. Local talent must be able to envision a future for themselves within their own nation, a clear path to success. They need role models to look up to, players who hail from their local club, their city, or their island. If every player representing the national team comes from Europe, what message does that send to the next generation of aspiring footballers across the Indonesian islands? It's no surprise that FIFA has taken a keen interest in Indonesia as well. They recognize that a thriving Indonesian national team and football ecosystem could be one of the greatest gifts to the global game. As the world's largest emerging football market, Indonesia's rise is not just a national dream, it's a story that the entire footballing world stands to gain from. Only the future will tell us if they arise to the challenge, reinvest short-term success into the development of their own footballing world, or if they will need to pay the price, as their own local talents have lost hope, not seeing a sustainable path forward in their own nation to represent their country on the global stage. What do you think about the Indonesia's mass naturalization of football talent? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this. Have a great day and goodbye.